On 12th of October 1972, a chartered flight took off from Uruguay and was heading towards Chile's capital Santiago. The flight was carrying 45 passengers and crew, including 19 rugby members, along with their families and friends. The duration of the flight was about 3 hours, but the main challenge for the pilots was the large Andes mountain range, as it is the second largest mountain range after the Great Himalayas. The aircraft was heading to its destination, but because of a storm over the Andes mountain, pilots decided to stop overnight in Argentina. The next day, on 13th October, the flight takes off again at 2:18 p.m. After an hour at 3:21 p.m., the pilots decided to descend the aircraft, thinking that they had reached Santiago Airport, but in reality, they were still on the Andes mountain range. As the aircraft descended, severe turbulence tossed the aircraft up and down. A passenger looked outside and saw that the aircraft was very close to the mountain. The co-pilot applied maximum power to gain altitude, but it was too late to take any action, and then the lower part of the aircraft hit the mountain cliff, which took the last 2-row seats in the rear section. A few passengers immediately lost their lives because of this action, and finally, the plane crashed on a glacier. The plane received severe damage, killing 2 pilots on the spot, but even after such a dangerous landing, 33 passengers still managed to survive. Among the rugby players, 2 of them were medical students who started doing treatment immediately. But this was only the beginning of a hard battle, as 5 people lost their lives on that night. For the next day, 14 helicopters began to search for the passengers, but because of the white snow and large mountain range, they failed to locate the exact point of the plane. Passengers also tried their best by making a cross on the ground as a point of mark, but this trick also failed. After 11 days, they realized that the search operation had decided to terminate its operation. This news broke all the 28 surviving passengers. With very little food remaining, after 1 week the passengers completely ran out of food, and so they started eating parts of the airplane such as cotton seats and leather. Soon they became sicker after eating these. Now here comes the most horrifying moment of survival. With no other option remaining, a few surviving passengers decided to eat the dead bodies of their families and friends. At first, most of them refused to eat, but after 2 days, when they couldn't control their hunger, finally, they started eating dead bodies also. Soon, they realized that if they wanted to survive, they would have to make their own efforts. So 3 passengers decided to move forward and seek help. They began to climb mountain after mountain, and after a few weeks, they reached a valley where they saw a small river. Following the path of the river, finally, on 20th December, they got a glimpse of another human across the river. They were shouting for help, and the people understood and rescued them. Soon, they went to the nearest town and shared the news of the accident with the army force. Finally, on 22nd December, 70 days after the plane crash, 2 helicopters with rescue missions reached the other survivors. They were shocked to see them alive in these harsh conditions. All of the remaining survivors were extremely weak, so their treatment began soon enough. This story is an example to the world that no matter what the situation is, never quit. This story is just a miracle, so it is named the Miracle of the Andes.